What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Wildcat Cave. Kentucky basketball is halfway through the season, and a lot of people have them as a title favorite, but this team is not without their flaws. Teams like Kansas, UNC Wilmington, and Texas A&M have all laid out the blueprint on how to beat the Cats. Now, I still believe this team can make a Final Four run, but there are certainly issues that are going to need to be addressed, and that's what we're going to do today. In this video, I'm going to give you my top 5 red flags that Calipari and his team need to address in order to make it to Phoenix. As always, guys, subscribe and hit the notification bell if you haven't already. It doesn't cost a dime, and it helps me and the channel out a ton. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers before the Gonzaga game on February 10th. Once we hit 1,000 subscribers, we'll do a giveaway here on the channel. Now, Kentucky is a team that does a lot of things really well, especially on the offensive end of the court. But they have some areas that if they don't improve, could cost them in March. Red flag number 1, defense. As athletic as our guards are, we just can't stay in front of anybody, and it's a little bit of a mystery to me. We have guards that can take anybody in the country off the dribble and get to the rim, but on the defensive end of the court, we just can't stay in front of anybody. I don't know if that's a lack of want, a lack of coaching in the past, or what their problem is as far as moving their feet and staying in front of anybody, but even our most athletic people on the team, our DJ Wagners, our Rob Dillinghams, cannot stay in front of their man on defense. Another problem with our defense is that we are just getting lost in rotation and lost in transition, especially against teams with really good ball movement. Teams that can really swing the ball around the perimeter can kill us on defense and get wide open cuts to the rim. Our guys are either lacking focus in that area or they're just not aware of how to play the type of defense that Calipari wants them to play. We get lost way too much, especially in quick ball movement situations or in transition. Now, all of this is to say, does it even matter? We are a team that averages 91 points a game, and because of that, it might not matter how good or bad our defense is. There's not many teams in the country that can run with us. Now, you're going to run into teams, and we've seen it like against Texas A&M, for example, that they're a team that in their first 2 games averaged about 56 points a game in the SEC play, and then play us and score 97. So in situations like that, yes, of course the defense matters, but overall, in the grand scheme of things, I don't know that it does. I don't know that there's a lot of teams out there, no matter how bad our defense is going to be able to keep up with us scoring when we're second in the country in average points per game. And then another thing is it possible to fix? Is this a problem that Calipari can just go to work on and get it fixed by the end of the season? And the answer to that is, I don't think so. Normally, with Calipari's teams over Christmas break, he'll have what's called Camp Cal, and we see a big jump in not only defensive efficiency, but just ability and understanding of defense. And we're at the end of Camp Cal right now after the Christmas break, and we're still having the same problems that we had against Kansas. So overall, I don't know that it's really possible to fix completely. Now, they did have a good defensive showing for most of the game against Mississippi State, but they still gave up 77 to a team that isn't known for lighting up the scoreboard. So overall, for defense, if we can just get a little better at staying in front of people, knowing our assignments and rotation and transition, then overall, in the grand scheme of things, it may not matter. Red flag number 2 is rebounding. It continues to baffle me how poor of a rebounding team we are, especially on the defensive glass. Now, overall for the year, we're not getting out-rebounded by 10 or 15 rebounds per game, but when we play teams that do rebound really well, we struggle. And part of that is, I think, because we have 2 7-footers that combine for 8 rebounds a game, and that's just not good enough. When you have Aaron Bradshaw and Ugo, who are 7 foot and above, they have to be grabbing probably 12 to 15 rebounds between the 2 of them per game. And right now, the 2 7-footers, 14 foot of height, combine for 8 rebounds a game on average. And that's what Trey Mitchell gets by himself, and he's significantly smaller than the other 2 guys. Now, overall, I think our guards actually rebound fairly well for guards. The 4 of them with Rob, Reed, DJ, and Reeves, they combine for about 14 rebounds a game, which is not bad considering they're, 6'2" to 6'6". So the real problem with rebounding for me is our 7-footers. And to me, I think rebounding, especially at that size, is all about effort and physicality. It seems like both Ugo and Bradshaw are in position to grab rebounds. They try to box out. They just allow their man to go around or above them. And to me, that speaks to their effort and just not being super physical bigs. Bradshaw obviously is very thin. Ugo is very thin. Neither of them are the big, beefy guys. Even like Oscar, who wasn't nearly as tall, but was able to grab rebounds because he was physical and he cared. The style of play that especially Bradshaw is used to is to be that KD style 7-footer that plays on the perimeter and doesn't go down low. And I just don't think that's going to work for him in Cal's offense. We have plenty of guys that can go score, and we don't necessarily have to have Bradshaw out there for that. But what's going to earn him more time is being able to rebound. Red flag number 3, ball security. Right now, we average about 10 turnovers per game, which is really not a terrible number, but it does come in bad times, to be honest with you. It comes late in games, in close moments. We get moving too fast and we get out of control. And to me, the biggest problem is the types of turnovers we commit. It's not like we get travel penalties or whatever. We throw the ball out of bounds. It's lazy passing. It's live ball turnovers that lead to fast breaks. We've seen it. We saw it with Rob and DJ against Texas A&M when Rob throws a 150-mile-an-hour fastball to DJ in the last 30 seconds of the game when we have a chance to take the last shot and win. We throw a bad pass. It's fumbled by DJ. He should have caught it, but nonetheless, Texas A&M gets the ball, goes down, scores. Now, luckily, we catch the break. Reed hits the free throws, and it doesn't cost us the game necessarily. Those types of turnovers are just momentum killers overall. They ruin whatever offensive momentum you had going. They lead to easy points on the other end. And in March, we just can't afford to have those. And a lot of it seems like we're trying to do too much. And this was a team that early in the season was averaging like 5 to 6 turnovers a game and has gotten progressively, I guess, worse over the season. Now, of course, those numbers are kind of impossible to sustain. So obviously we expected their average turnovers not to stay at 3 the entire season. But it comes from these young guys just trying to do too much. Red flag number 4, late game execution. To me, it seems like we have no clear plan late in the game. We have no idea when the game is on the line and there's a minute left. We don't know what we're going to do. We just go and hope that, our guys are better than their guys. And in the past for Cal, that's worked. And it seems to work some with this team. So I'm not super concerned about this, but we need to have a better plan. Like I just mentioned, against Texas A&M, we had Rob Dillingham bring the ball up the court, and he had not played well the entire game up until the final minute. So I can understand you want him in the game and you want him to create because he's just hit 3 threes in a row and he's brought you back into the game. However, is that really what we want late? It seems like we don't know who to give the ball to late. We don't know who we want to bring the ball up the court. And to me, those are all questions that need answers because we're going to play teams in March where we have to have those answers in order to close out a win. So the big questions are, what are the best shots we can get late, and with how much time do we want to take them? The best shot to me we can get late is a wide open Reed Shepherd or Antonio Reeves 3. Next to that, it's DJ taking his guy to the rim. Maybe Rob, depending on how he's played. But against Texas A&M, I know he brought us back into the game. But you have to know when Rob is going to flip that switch and shoot you out of the game too. Yes, he hit 3 threes. Then immediately take him out with 30 seconds left. Put Reed in. Let him finish the game for us. And then how much time do we want? Like I said, with that Texas A&M game specifically, I keep bringing it up because it was such a poor execution. We shouldn't have tried to be making a play with 28 seconds on the clock. Dribble the ball until there's 10 and then try to create. Hold the ball. Guarantee yourself the last shot. Don't make silly execution mistakes that put you behind late in the game. Red flag number 5, lineups. We have to know our situational rotations. Right now, I don't know that we have some. Especially in Cal's mind, I don't think in the heat of the moment, he's just trying to win, and he doesn't necessarily think about what this team needs right now. For example, a couple games ago, it was a close game late. The team was obviously in a fouling situation to foul us, to send us to the line, and Cal tried to put Ugo in the game. For what reason, I'm not sure. We were up a few points. Rebounding and defense wasn't going to win us the game there. What was going to win us the game was hitting free throws. And we had Reed on the bench, who's our best free throw shooter, and Cal tries to put Ugo in. Now, credit to Chin Coleman. He grabbed Ugo, told him to go sit down, and then put Reed in. So good on him for recognizing that and being able to, stand up to Cal more or less and say, this isn't what we need in this situation. What we need right now is ball handlers and free throw shooters. And it ended up working and we won the game. But just knowing those situational rotations, who can play with who and when, is going to be key. Also, in the Mississippi State game, we played a decent amount of Ugo and Bradshaw together, and personally, I just don't think that works. I think it takes away too much on the offensive end. I know Aaron wants to play the 4, but in my opinion, it's just not. Even if you're going to put him at the 4, that's not his game. He wants to be that outside big, and that's fine. But then you have to have a 5 that can spread the floor, and Ugo just can't do that. Outside of 2 foot, Ugo's not a scoring threat. And while he has played better than probably I've expected this season, I think that what he gives you on the defensive end with blocks and rim protection, he can take just as much, if not more, away on the offensive end by clogging the lane for these guards who like to get to the rim and having no real outside shot. And then my final thing with lineups, Reed and Antonio Reeves need to play together more. I don't know why Cal doesn't play those guys together. He started to experiment with Reed and DJ and Rob and Antonio and all sorts of combinations, except Reed and Antonio Reeves together, and I kind of don't understand it. They've shown that by the numbers, Reed and Antonio are the best 2 defensive guards that we have, and it's not close. They hold whoever they're guarding to about 33% shooting, while Rob and DJ are around 47%. So they give up significantly more points than Reed and Antonio, and Reed and Antonio are the 2 best shooters on the team, so they're giving you offense as well. I wish Cal would play those 2 together more, and maybe as the season finishes, he'll start to do that because he still is experimenting with some rotational things and some lineups, but I think those 2 need to be together on the floor more. Now, overall, I do want to be clear. Most of these red flags are minor things, and Kentucky has the talent to win even with some of these issues, but they are issues nonetheless. And while each thing individually may not be enough to cost Kentucky a game, when you have 2 or 3 of these issues show up at the same time, it can and it will earn you an early exit from the tournament in March. We saw this happen against A&M when our defense, rebounding, and late game execution became a factor and eventually cost them the game. It was a winnable game. Kentucky is undoubtedly a title contender, and when you average 90 points, you can get away with a few things going wrong or being a little lazy on defense or having inefficient lineups in or even having a few too many turnovers. But no team in the country can overcome all of it. That is going to wrap up this video, guys. I hope you all enjoyed it. Go subscribe to the channel right now by clicking the button below for even more Kentucky content. And let me know in the comments your concerns for this Kentucky team. I'll see you in the next video. Go Cats.